One, two, three. Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello, and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
You cannot have my prize. Perhaps now, after all my work, I shall have the means to exact my revenge.
Welcome to Season 3. I now have the power to exact my revenge. I am your host,
God, I feel
Lazy
though it's
Dav
on me.
Strike.
I feel as though that revenge is on me.
It might be.
No, excuse me. I was
Incredible power!
It is an incredible power that I wield. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Enrico.
Such power. It's like nothing I've ever sensed before.
He's a powerful co-host. There's no
how did
doubt about it.
How did you get audio from all of my ex-girlfriends?
Well, they were so few that it didn't take me very long.
That's true. Non-existent, in fact.
Exactly.
It's easy to get in touch with imaginary people.
I just talked to your wife for a second.
Oh, cool. Well, she's lying.
Everything she says.
Don't listen to a goddamn word she says.
No, exactly.
Anyway,
Season 3,
Enrico,
everybody.
Andre Mai, welcome to Season 3, everybody. It is really great to have you here. It is great to still be here after 2 seasons. Davin and I have not murdered each other. In fact, the bond may be stronger than ever. I'm not sure.
They said it couldn't be done.
They said it couldn't be done. They said be mad to do a podcast based on X-Men, the animated review show, but we showed them. We'll show the world. But yes, we are here to talk about
comes next.
We are here to talk about Season 1 or Season 3, Episode 1, Out of the Past. Part 1. There's a lot of numbers involved now as we're getting further along. It's Season 3, Episode 1, Part 1. It's going to get crazier because if I recall correctly, there are a lot of things in this season that have multiple parts, some more than just the usual 2. We get some 3 and 4 parters in this one, if I recall correctly.
This is a long season. If you thought we were haggard before, wait till you see us at the end of this season.
Oh, it's going to be just a skeleton holding an X-Men comic. That'll be it. That'll be all we got left. Gavin, before we get deep into this, do you watch the Orville?
Oh, this could be a tangent. I warn you.
No. You don't like it, I take it?
Well, look. No is the short answer.
That's fine.
But
you don't need to continue this line.
But that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not for me.
I think it's amazing.
I watched it for a while, and one of the episodes was really good, I thought, and it felt like an old TNG episode. But
almost
it's too much of a TNG ripoff for me, and it's just like TNG with Seth MacFarlane as the star, which I don't really like a whole lot.
Okay, but look, he's not really the star. Like
he's casting himself in a Star Trek fanfic.
I'm here for it. I love it. I think it is the most Star Trek thing on TV. It is.
Until Strange New Worlds, maybe it was.
I don't feel like I haven't watched that yet, but I don't feel like anything that's in.
Man,
I don't feel like anything on TV now makes me feel like I used to feel like when I watched Deep Space Nine
and I realize that it does that.
And it does that very well.
That's why I say it's just not for me, because I realize that it is good and it does do some. Because the dude does know TNG or Star Trek, so he can replicate it if he wants to.
In very few episodes.
But for me, it's just like a TNG episode with Seth MacFarlane humor infused, which Seth MacFarlane humor doesn't really kind of work on me that well anyway. So it's just I'd rather just have that part not in it. So I'd rather just go watch TNG or something.
I guess that's
I think it would be better if he casted someone other than himself as the star.
Well, I feel as though being upset with him being in the central role isn't that big a deal because he's not a central point in it that much.
Like his first officer is an actress I really like, and she's really
Andrea
good.
Pilecki.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah, the guy Scott Grimes that plays Oh God, I'm forgetting his name. Gordon.
The comic relief guy.
Yeah, they're all really good. I find he got his start in Critters. He's in Critters 1 and 2 when he was a teenager.
Oh wow, I remember Critters.
Yeah, and he does the voice of Steve from American Dad. He's great. But
what one's Steve?
The son.
Oh.
But no, I really dig it, man. Like I said, it really feels like I'm watching old TNG and Next Generation, but that's just a little funnier, which I'm okay with. Because
it's not funnier. That's the thing. It's not funny.
I disagree, but there are moments in it that are very reminiscent of that, and there are some very emotionally poignant episodes, and there are subject matters in recent ones that deal with forgiveness, that deal with a lot of things that are interesting. That I feel like we're missing from modern Star Trek. So.
Yeah, well, watch Strange New Worlds. Trust me.
All right. Dude, okay.
But I hope that wasn't too much of a Star Trek Orville.
No, cool. I'm just curious because I've been watching the new season of Orville and I really liked it. I really like it. I just don't feel like I mean, if I watch Discovery, and maybe Strange New Worlds is different. Maybe one season there might be one socially relevant issue that's sort of not even really that well examined, but maybe kind of mentioned, and then usually lost in a big action sequence.
They'll bumble it, yeah.
It's
not a good show.
Almost
the only Star Trek show I haven't watched to completion.
Almost every episode of the Orville deals with some complex human emotion or some complex human issue that that's wrapped up in a story that I really like. I don't know, I really dig it.
Strange New Worlds. We're not here to talk about classic Trek toys. Go and watch Strange New Worlds, everybody. And you know what? Watch the Orville. Like I said, I know it's probably pretty good because there's episodes I saw that were good. It's just not for me in the long run. I've watched a few episodes. Like this is enough for me.
I feel as though if you gave it another shot recently, like if you caught up to where we're at now and dropped in, I think you'd feel a little differently. But
no worries. Maybe I will. Maybe
you will. It's all right.
You know what? I'm not against that idea. What do you think, listeners? Should I go back to the Orville? I'll leave it up to the listeners.
I think everything.
I don't make my own decisions anymore. Yeah.
I think everything should be a viewer poll from now on. Like everything we do.
I think so too.
Should Devin wear his bandana? Dial 1. Text 1 to 1137. And Y for yes, N for no. And a W for cowboy hat. If you want to see Devin wear a cowboy hat.
Yeah, we're catching up with.
Oh, this is at the top of the show now, is it?
Yeah, whoops. Hold on. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. Start.
Okay, we can do that.
No, we are.
We can if you want.
To be.
Oh, okay. I don't know segments anymore. Okay, good. I don't want this to be about me.
It was supposed to be both of us.
Oh, that's nice.
Catching up with Devin and Andre. People haven't heard from us in 2 weeks. They're probably worried.
That is true. Come summer, I like how you fully embrace your inner Jesus. You've gotten almost more Jesus-ier in the past couple of weeks.
What did I do? I think I looked
just the beard or the hair or what? I don't know. It's a little wilder. I don't know. You look more Jesus-y.
I'm more tanned.
That might be it. I mean, that's probably closer to the actual Jesus being brown-skinned and all. Assuming there is an actual Jesus in quotations. But yes. No.
Somebody thought I was a pirate the other day.
Ooh, I can see that. I think you and I would.
Pirate, man, you're a pirate. You're a pirate.
I think.
And then I walk outside, and he just yells to his woman in the car. He's just like, "Hey!" And she looks outside. She's like, "Oh my God, he's a pirate."
Was she an elderly English lady?
Oh my God,
he's a pirate.
I think they were intoxicated.
I think we would fit well into on a pirate ship, or at least a movie about pirates. I think you and I would definitely fit the bill to be on a pirate ship, at least in the background.
Oh, I think so too. Someone cast us in that.
That's right.
Anyway,
I'm a unionized actor.
Speaking of casting in shows and whatnot, we're catching up with Devin and Andre, but you go first. I heard some pretty interesting news about you. How did your play go for first off?
Good. Yeah, it went really well. Little Norm Foster play. If you know theater, especially Canadian theater, you may be familiar with that name. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was an interesting little play, kind of sort of a Stella got her groove back kind of thing about an older lady that's husband forgets her anniversary, and then she decides to branch out and do a bunch of stuff for herself. She meets all these crazy characters at different events, and then it all comes together into a nice, heartwarming finale. General crowd-pleasing, happy theater, which I'm always excited to do because the crowds love it, but I'm always sort of aching to do something a little different.
And you played the murderer.
yeah. It's a big swerve at the end. M. Night Shyamalan actually wrote the play. It turns out I'm the murderer at the end, and and that the woman that I'm with is actually my daughter from the future. It's a whole thing.
Oh my God, what kind of a play is this? Norman
It's real
Foster.
weird.
What?
It's no, nice, normal, heartwarming sort of family friendly. Family friendly kind of. There's some stuff in it that may not be as family friendly, but it was good. And we just announced with the theater group that I will be co-directing a stage version of Frankenstein.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Which is coming out at the end of October. Auditions will be in early August. And I'm very excited for that. It's going to be an insane production. It is the same. It is Nick Deer's script, which is a very faithful adaptation of the original book, which I had at the top of the show. That was kind of my little in gag. And because of that, it was originally done. It was originally directed by Danny Boyle, the director of 28 Days Later, Slumdog Billionaire, Life of Pi, a bunch of other popular movies, Trainspotting. But he, what's the one with Cillian Murphy? Almost every movie he does. The one with the Sunshine. That's a good one. I like that one a lot. So anyway,
that movie's terrifying. Actually,
his original theater version was Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller starred in it. They would swap roles of the monster and the doctor. So one night one would be the monster, one would be the doctor, and then the next night they'd swap. So it's very interesting. It's a really cool script. When I saw a version of it in a theater where they showed it kind of live streaming at a theater here in Nova Scotia, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I ordered the script, and then during COVID, they released some of the plays from National Theatre Live that you could watch for free on YouTube. So I watched the other version that I hadn't seen with Cumberbatch as the monster, and I really enjoyed it as well. And then I thought, hey, maybe we can do this. So I found out where the agent of the writer was, sent them an email. They said we could get the rights to do it, and we have them. So I'm super excited. I'm co-directing. I'm also going to be in it. That's why I'm co-directing, because I wanted to be in it, and I wanted to have someone else to keep an eye on things, but I'm not there to watch it. So I'm very excited to do it. It's going to be fun.
All right. Well, let's throw this out there to the listeners too. Should I audition for Andre's play?
That's right.
Put that out there to the listeners. Put that out there.
Well, we sort of already cast a few roles, but you would have been good in a few of them.
Oh man, I would have been.
Actually, no, it's not cast yet, so you can totally audition. There's a couple roles you'd be great for.
Yeah.
If you want to travel down to Truro 3 days a week to rehearse, then you're in.
I'll think about it.
All right.
We're leaving it to the listeners.
Auditions are coming up. Tickets are on sale, though. You can buy tickets for
already
the Marigold Cultural Center or on I think it's Ticket Pro has them as well. But you can save, I think, a little money with Ticket Pro fees if you go in and buy them at the Marigold. I think.
Are you playing the monster?
I am.
Okay, I have to be in this play. All right. I'm gonna do it.
That was the draw for me. A big part of that was something that I could do something different on stage. We do a lot of these goofy comedies, which are fun, and the audience really likes them. But I want to do something kind of different, more in my wheelhouse, or more of the things that I love, and I do. Man, my beard is all fucked.
We're trimming our beards, grooming ourselves before the show. No, me neither. I meant grooming.
No. It just seems a little lopsided, but whatever. I'm gonna
stop. Who has the nicer beard today? Leave that to the listeners. We're putting a lot of pressure on the listeners.
The listeners got a lot to do today.
They do. Anyway.
So I'm excited to do that. It's gonna be a really fun thing. It's a really if you ever read the book Frankenstein or seen a more literal adaptation of it, not just the Boris Karloff movie, you'll be aware of the fact that the monster is actually quite intelligent and has conversations and explores themes about parenthood. Creation,
loneliness,
morality, loneliness. If you owe anything, the creator owns anything to its creation, and a lot of interesting things. It's full of deep themes, which I'm excited to explore with a good cast. So, and I have a friend of mine does special effects for movies. It's going to be doing some of the makeup, so it's going to be pretty cool. I'm very excited.
Oh look!
Oh, thanks, David.
Congrats, Andre. Yeah.
It's going to be a fun show.
Oh, Jamil's checking in. Did you talk about the SDCC exclusive?
What's this? San Diego Comic-Con exclusive what? Trailer?
Holy crap, yeah. I know. I refreshed my memory there, Jamil.
Hey, good to see you, buddy. We got to get you back on the show soon.
Yeah, I was talking to him about that the other day. We're waiting. That's in the works. We're going to have Jamil back here soon.
Excellent.
Yeah. We do. We missed David, and he was just here. So
I know. I wish David was a regular. He's so good at this show. He knows so much about X-Men.
he's very good at the show. He's better than us at the show.
He really is. You can just, if something happens to me, you can just slide Dave in, and you wouldn't miss a step.
But we're running long on this intro, so catching up with me, I caught some fish, and then I didn't catch some fish, and here we are.
Kind of fish.
So mackerel, and then I didn't catch mackerel.
But did you put the backs? They're too small, or?
Oh wait, here we go. Jamil's. He's saying here, Jamil, the Scott and Jean pic. Oh, right. So there's this like, you know, the picture that Wolverine looks at.
Oh yeah,
Scott and Jean are like
yes,
releasing that.
Yeah, I did see that. I think I meant to send that to you. Yeah, there is. It's a Funko Pop, right?
Is it a Funko Pop? I thought it was just a picture.
It's just an action figure. No, I think it's an action figure of him on the bed holding the picture. Didn't they?
Oh no, that exists too.
Oh, okay,
but it's the picture that I think Jamil is talking about, where they're just releasing the picture of Scott and Jean. I want to frame it for a frame. And I want to look at it longingly before I go to sleep.
Oh,
or before I go on like a revenge mission or anything.
In full Wolverine costume. In full Wolverine costume laying on your bed. Dave said he's here.
He also says he listens every week.
Well, we miss him. We miss you, buddy.
Except last week, obviously.
He says, listen to Dead Air. Wearing like, we got to get some merch. He's wearing like an X-rated hat and just sitting there looking at nothing.
Did you watch this episode, David? I can send you the link. You can pop on if you like.
You're always welcome to hop in anytime you want, buddy. We're always happy to have you.
Exactly. Well, I guess we should
jump into it, I suppose.
We should probably.
Previously on X-Men.
Most important part of the show.
It rarely is, which is the fun.
The savage land is cleansed of outlanders. Now its true future begins.
They threw an awful lot at you for that final episode. A lot of lingering plot holes that they're gonna circle back on someday, I guess.
But because we barely mentioned it, we are reviewing season 1 episode or season 3. No, now we both made that mistake. Season 3, episode 1, Out of the Past, part 1, written by Michael Edens, who also wrote the last episode. So
wrote an awful lot of episodes.
He's one of, if not the most prolific writer on this show so far, and does a really good job. Really good episodes. The last one was really good. Yeah. Take it away, Andre. Now that you know what happened last episode, thanks to the previous.
Oh, good! It's so relevant to what's happening in this episode. So we begin.
We got some more comments. No, there is an action figure, Jamil says, but also they are releasing an official picture. Yes. So you can stare longingly. Yes, I want the picture. The action figure is cool, but I want to be the Wolverine.
I mean, I'm sure it's a picture out there that you can just get off the internet and print yourself. Like, it's got to be out there somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure it is, but like, this is an exclusive.
That's true. San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
Oh, Dave doesn't like this episode. Excited to hear if we like it. What we said.
Well, you know what, Dave?
No negative Nancy's on this show. So
I'm leaning towards you, Dave. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. So we'll get into that. That's a little spoiler. So we begin with Leech.
Somewhere in that range myself, actually.
So
I would love to rock an X-rated hat. Jamil says, "Oh, I can't get hats off of Patreon. We'll have to do that some other way."
I have a hookup for that. Le banter, all right. Le banter.
Dave's drawing.
He's getting French.
Probably drawing some X-Men.
All right. Well, let's get at it. So Dave has something to listen to.
Exactly.
So
take her away.
We loop in on Leech, who we all remember as being one of the Morlocks, who you mentioned earlier. We see him running with. There's a lot of just because in this episode, and it opens with Leech running with this gun, being chased by those cybernetic guys you just showed a picture of. Since this episode is called Out of the Past, I was quite concerned for a minute this was another time travel episode. It really seemed like an opening to one. Somebody running, some futuristic looking people chasing him, and I was like, "Oh God, are we doing another
basketball
already?" Yes, well, we didn't get to that yet. Very Top Gun that scene, but yes. So then we meet these group of cybernetic people chasing him, who we come to know later as the Reavers. For simplicity's sake, I will refer to them as such henceforth, even though they're not identified as it yet, but they will be. So in the building, the young Morlock has stolen something from someone named Lady Deathstrike, who we'll also get to know soon. Leech manages to get back to the Morlock's base underground. He gives the device he stole to Callisto because she wants to use it to unlock some alien treasure that she could use to regain her position as leader of the Morlocks. Once again, voiced by the lady that voiced her before. I had it here.
A lot of the same Morlocks that we often see there.
Susan Roman did her voice.
You have Tommy there on the left. She's very cool.
Yeah, I like her design in this. It's really neat.
Yeah.
So, so then as, she says she's going to use this gun to get access to something they found, which should give her this power. The Reavers have followed. Did a good job covering his tracks. They literally followed him directly back to his home base, in which they get in a big battle with the Morlocks, shooting them with these sort of guns that shoot out this web that seems to zap your energy and stick you to the wall. Then we're introduced to Lady Deathstrike, the leader of the Reavers, who arrives. And then when all the other Morlocks are incapacitated, they take Leech, who is quite quick to squeal on his underground family, and tell them that they found some kind of alien. Well, I don't think they say alien. He says some kind of treasure that they have found. It leads them to it, which is a spaceship underground that Lady Deathstrike surmises may have been buried there for years, or for like centuries. She tries to use it. She thinks that she could perhaps use its contents. It's a lot of just because here. Number one, I'll finish this part and then I'll go into my diatribe. So use the contents to exact her revenge and goes to rip open the hull with her claws, which causes her to be zapped back. And I'll pause here, but we'll come back to the benefits of what happened there, or the ramifications of what happens there. So
this happens later, but there's Lady Deathstrike.
That is Lady Deathstrike. So number one, how did Leech know? Okay, number one, they found the ship underground that they want to get access to. They send Leech to steal some futuristic gun from the Reavers, who apparently have some kind of thing where they are trying to improve on people's bodies with cybernetic abilities. How did Leech even know? And how did Leech even know to go there? Number one, this isn't the internet. It's not like, unless they had like a, some kind of a Yellow Pages ad that said like, futuristic cybernetic laboratory at this location, that he would know to go in and try to steal this gun.
I think it's inferred that Morlocks are like hidden in all the dark alleyways and things.
So they I could buy that.
They overhear a lot of things.
I could buy that. But also, like, why would they think this futuristic gun would help them get in? Just because it's more powerful, maybe, than the other ship, than normal guns?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just
sweet Reaver technology.
I guess I could accept that answer that they may have overheard
Australian engineering.
Yes, I've noticed the Reavers are one of the Reavers is noticeably Australian.
They all are. That's the whole thing.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, they've only
except
one.
For Lady Deathstrike.
There's only one that really speaks a lot in it. So the others just kind of incidentally have a few lines, but nothing that can really identify their accents too much.
They were a big part of the Outback X-Men era.
Ooh,
they were the Outback era.
So who are the Outback X-Men? How many
that was like
Australian
Wolverine,
X-Men are there?
Storm, Longshot, Dazzler.
So nobody from
Psylocke,
Australia.
Rogue. No, they were just like hanging out there for a while. There were some crazy Rogue stories around that time. The Reavers really did a number on her.
Who's the there's an Australian X-Man or mutant. Who's the guy that teleports? He's from Australia. He's like an Aborigine.
Yeah, that's Gateway.
Gateway, right? He's cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
And we need more Australian.
There's also his kind of protege, Manifold.
Oh yes, I do remember that character. So anyway, for some incidental reason that we don't know about, I guess just for the sake of making it all loop back into something we're familiar with, we interact with the Morlocks here, or maybe to find a way to get the X-Men involved. There are an awful lot of weird Force connections, I would say, in this episode. So the energy from the spaceship, after she slashes at it, manages to travel all around, kind of like an EMP. It's screwing up the electronics, and Xavier is getting this massive flash, which you played earlier. You want to play that again? Because he sounds insane in this clip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he sounds like literally, I thought it was Leech when you first played it because I forgot him.
Oh, whoops. We're going to listen to Sinister laugh again first.
Well, that is insane, but that is not
power! Incredible power!
Oh, you know what? I could have played this too.
No one steals from Lady Deathstrike. and lives.
There's the Lady Deathstrike intro.
All of those characters that steal from her do in fact live. Just want to point that out. So you might want to call it a better tagline there.
Doesn't follow through on all her threats.
No. That's what she says when she arrives at the Morlock lair to get back her stolen technology. So Xavier loses it when the energy hits him, and his voice goes about 6 octaves higher than it ever has before in this show. But
that was intense voice acting.
Yeah, some props to the voice actor who Cedric Smith, who killed it in that episode. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he loses it. He senses his power, although he doesn't really connect with the rest of the X-Men. Because as we soon find out, there are no more other X-Men in this episode than Wolverine, Gambit, and Jubilee, who we see.
And right.
So then, Cerebro, he puts Cerebro on to try to find the source of this energy that he just got blasted with. Meanwhile, Deathstrike states that the adamantium claws weren't enough and suggests that they need to find a human with an adamantium skeleton to help them bust in to the ship, which... Why? I don't know. There's a lot of just because
to fight, not to think.
Yes, and I love all the little cybernetic noises they make when they move. And during the fights with the Morlocks and stuff, and later on with the X-Men, they get parts cut off them that they just reattach, which is kind of neat. They're very 90s era villains, just covered in cybernetic pieces, eye things with lasers. One guy's
Australian.
What? Yeah, 90s. That's true. Very Road Warrior. One guy has no one guy has no lower body half. It's just a tank. It's just a little tank.
That's Bone Breaker, Bone Crusher.
No, his name is Skullbuster. No, Bone Breaker. Bone Breaker, you're right.
Yeah. Bone Breaker.
Skull Crusher's the guy with Skullbuster's got the red skull face, I think. So very 90s era. They got all these
very 90s
cybernetic pieces. Oh yeah, no, 100%. Even the name of the Reavers is kind of 90s-y, which is fun. Just look. I'm just gonna name these guys off.
All right.
These are the names of the Reavers. There's is Erg one ERG, or is he one of the Morlocks? He's a Morlock, I think. I think he's the big bald Morlock. We get Bonebreaker, Pretty Boy, Skullbuster. I feel like there's another one in here too. Sunder. So yeah, all very 90s.
I think Sunder's one of the Morlocks.
Actually. Oh, is he one of the Morlocks? Damn it.
Yeah.
I had a list of the Reavers here, but it's got mixed up with the other cast members.
I don't know.
Skullbuster, Pretty Boy, Bonebreaker. Maybe Erg's one of them. I don't know. But just ridiculous 90s cheese, which I'm
Donald Pierce is their leader in the comics usually. Who's also a member of the Hellfire Club. Here.
And yeah, I'm going to get some issues with how their leadership system works as well a little bit. But they we see Bonehaver and the Skullhaver. That's a good name. One does have bones and the other does, in fact, I would assume, have a skull. Very nice. So I like how Dave's throwing the zingers out there while working.
Yeah, I know.
While listening.
He's better at this than us, even when he's not here.
He's doing all this stuff. So we get to a very Top Gun-ish segment in which the X-Men are playing basketball, all shirtless, and Gambit looks particularly more jacked than usual. I always kind of saw him as a lanky character, but he's
Gumbo, if you insist.
And then Wolverine jumps up to block him and just claws right through the ball and this ruins the game right away. It's like, Wolverine, that was our only basketball. There'll be no basketball this year. No, the other students.
Xavier spends a lot of money, but not on basketballs.
Well, he can't play. I guess he could.
Oh, yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, exactly. He could play Ringette.
Sure, but Gambit is everyone's all sweaty and shirtless, and it's very. I want to say homoerotic. So I don't think there's anything in it that's overtly male, male sexuality kind of thing. But it's they're also playing with Jubilee, who's also in some kind of tight little athletic wear, but she's also a 16-year-old.
She's just wearing a basketball jersey.
No, she's got a tight shirt on.
No, it's a basketball jersey. It's
a pretty tight basketball jersey.
Oh, have you ever seen a basketball jersey?
Well, on men, they're kind of loose. They're supposed to be a bit.
Well,
so anyway, they as they are doing this ridiculousness and the sort of macho game is being played out between Gambit and Wolverine, whose competitiveness is still at the forefront of their relationship in the show. They get a call from a conveniently placed phone that they just have outside of the basketball court now. There just seems to be convenient little teleprompters everywhere they go that they can access phone calls, depending on whatever.
He spends his money on convenient gadgets.
Hey, message coming in.
Coming in.
Oh, sorry, I thought you had Gambit's follow-up line where he's like, "It looks like we have the answer because no one else is answering it." He says something like that, so it's like, I guess it's up.
No, I got like, well, it's all
it's like it's a
Hello?
and then
Man, we gotta talk to Storm about who she gives our number to.
but he sees Leech and he's just like disgusted. He's like, "Oh my god, there's a Morlock calling us."
and it seems like he's
This
in
is
trouble.
gross.
Like you're supposed to be a hero, and you're like, jeez, you're gonna have to go deal with the Morlocks because you know. I also love that like the Morlocks.
He's a kid too, Leech, and he doesn't even care.
I just love how the Morlocks just call Storm at the school. Like she's their leader still, but like so if they have any like issues, they want to go above Callisto's head. They have to call the school to talk to Storm.
Yeah, it's
like,
pretty funny.
Which I thought was kind of
which is what Callisto's out to change in this episode.
Yeah, that's why she wanted that gun to get into the ship. Just getting mad at Wolverine. I mean, the poor guy can barely talk. He's a child. But anyway, Leech says he has a message
in the middle of a game.
He's really mad about this game, even though he just ruined it.
I was going to say he just ruined the ball. They can't even continue. So unless
Wolverine's
there's another ball
just grumpy. Wolverine's very grumpy in this episode.
Like, why would your claws be involved in that? Anyway, so Leech, they ask if they're looking for Storm. Leech says no, he needs to talk to Wolverine. He says that there's someone at the Morlock lair waiting for him named Yuriko, which it seems to be another tragic character from Wolverine's past that they just troll out every single episode, every single season to give us a Wolverine-centric episode. So here's another one. Wolverine seems obviously bothered by this information and goes off and gets in his costume and runs off on his own. Jubilee wants to help. Gambit wants to let Wolverine's a big boy. He says he can look after himself.
This whole thing stank.
This whole thing stank. This whole thing a ship.
I ain't sure.
Whole thing thanks to the ship. So he believes it's the trap. Wolverine says it most surely is, but he still has to go, so he takes off. Which is funny because Gambit's like, it's obviously a trap. Wolverine's like, I know, but I gotta go anyway, and he runs off. And then Storm,
family,
and then
this family, nothing but trouble.
I like that line. Jubilee's like, we have to go. Wolverine's family. He's like, yeah, this family.
It's better than his last family. It was like a bunch of assassins and thieves.
You mean Bobby?
Bobby on the tag.
Bobby.
Bobby's gonna give him the tag. Chip. So the day of the tag.
The day of the tag.
The day of the tag. We gotta help out that external.
Yeah, you gotta pay the tag.
Wolverine runs off in his Jeep, which is always fun when it makes an appearance. I love that Wolverine drives a Jeep. It seems like a very Wolverine vehicle to drive.
Always that or a bike.
A motorcycle, right? So he gets in his full gear, Wolverine gear, gets in his van, drives off. Jubilee and Gambit basically find his van, find out he went down into the sewers to go after the Morlock headquarters to find Yuriko, whoever this Yuriko may be. And then we see them in pursuit. So once they get to the sewers, Wolverine thinks back to his past, which is where we get who Yuriko is. And we find out they were lovers in Japan, it would seem. How and why, we do not know. But it's revealed that Wolverine had to leave.
Tinder.
In 93 Tinder, 1994 or 5 Tinder, 1995 Japan Tinder, Nintendo. Oh, I like that. Tinder for Nintendo fans. Man, you just stumbled onto an amazing idea for a dating app. I feel like if you
I can't claim that. That's my buddy X Dan.
Well,
he'll be on the show one day. That's X-Man Dan.
X-Man Dan with a name like that.
Shout out to you, X-Man Dan.
How did X-Man Dan go 3 seasons of being on the show?
I don't know. I think he's shy. You tell us, X-Man Dan.
Come on, X-Man Dan, get on this. With a name like that, you got to be on here. It's literally your wheelhouse. We're in your wheelhouse. This is your wheelhouse.
We are in his wheelhouse.
We are in here. What am I doing in this wheelhouse?
Turn the wheel, goddammit.
Was it on 30 Rock? There's a line where someone says wants to talk to the character Kenneth about something, and he goes, well, that subject's not really in my wheelhouse, but if you'd like to talk about wheelhouses, I know have a lot of information. Like he just knows a lot about wheelhouses.
The sailor.
He's always this sort of colloquial character that always seems like a country bumpkin, which is funny. So then Wolverine, you see that he was in Japan with his Yuriko, seemed to be in love with. Then he had to leave as he'd been recruited, I guess, into Weapon X. It's vague about what he's doing because I assumed he was
recruited, kidnapped, potato.
Well, he had a mission he had to go to, or there are people that were asking for him, and then he says to her, "These are the sort of people he can't say no to." And then it cuts to him in a helicopter with Maverick, which is his partner in the Weapon X program. So I'm guessing it's still connected to Weapon X, but then it shows him get on their mission. They get it was a trap basically, and they what's the word when someone I can't think of it. My brain is not working the way it should be.
Tell me you are not leaving.
I wouldn't go if I didn't have to. But some guys in Canada need to see me. They're not the kind of people you say no to.
I love Wolverine's bedroom voice, I call it. It gets a little softer.
So this out to the listeners. Are the guys in Canada you don't say no to me and Andre?
You could easily say no to either of us. I'm sure many have many times. I say no to you all the time. I'm not wearing that outfit, Dav. I've told you I'm not wearing it. You're like, I'll wear you down.
The things I try to do for the listeners that you deny are just
for the people.
I'm a man of the people. Close to the people.
The people's champion.
Exactly.
So then we see so then he's in a helicopter with Maverick. Then it appears that they were led into an ambush. That's the word I was looking for, in which they're attacked by a group of soldiers. Wolverine gets captured after falling into a pit. It's unclear what happens to Maverick. Wolverine jumps out of the helicopter. Maverick flies off, but the helicopter gets damaged. But Maverick can teleport. Isn't that his whole deal? So
Maverick got a lot of technologies. His powers are just luck powers, kind of like Domino.
I thought he could teleport. I thought that was his power.
No, I think that's technology.
Okay. So anyway, he seems to get away. We don't really know, but Wolverine while running from the soldiers falls into a pit and then is captured by the soldiers. Then we cut to him awakening in the tube in the Weapon X program where Dr. Kenji Oyama is working on him, who I never really realized was Asian before. I guess the way they show him, he's got the glasses that hide his eyes, and his voice isn't very Asian sounding. I just always assumed he was, I guess the name like Oyama. Yeah, I should have known, but he's never really depicted as an Asian character, in my opinion, earlier on until it was necessary for here.
Well, we haven't seen him until now. We've only seen Cornelius.
Right.
Abraham Cornelius.
I combine those two characters into one. So in my head,
Cornelius ran the Weapon X program,
but
whereas Oyama just developed the adamantium technique.
The adamantium process, yeah. So I thought Wolverine was part of the Weapon X program only after he got. So he got the Wolverine, the adamantium skeleton. It appears as though
from the Weapon X program.
Yeah, but it appears as though when he was with Maverick, he was in Weapon X before they captured him and then put the adamantium on his skeleton.
Yes. No, that wasn't Weapon X. That team he was on with Maverick, they were a whole nother thing. That was a CIA thing.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense.
Why is he
going back to Canada? Anyway.
Everyone always goes home.
Well, the CIA are in Canada. He said he got called back. I mean, I guess they had a mission for him to do, I suppose.
Oh, I see what you're saying in this episode. He might have just signed up for it thinking it was something similar as well. And he's just like, oh, yeah, I've just signed up for like...
I don't think he just signed up for Black Ops programs.
David Cutler says the Bare Naked Ladies need a new keyboardist.
Is that why he went to... the guys you don't say no to. That's right. I just love to see Wolverine being the keyboardist for Bare Naked Ladies.
Playing with his claws. Ding, 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 ding.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Ding, 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 ding.
He has adamantium keys, so he can do that with. He can use the claws.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet. They would resonate nicely, I think.
Wolverine in the back, just like in my shoebox of light. All right, it's enough bare naked ladies, I suppose. Although extra homework. Go listen.
I'm lying in bed, just like
Brian
Lady
Wilson
Deathstrike did.
Well, we're getting to that. But anyway,
Right.
extra homework assignment. Go listen to Bare Naked Ladies. Just do the greatest hits album. It's great. Now, okay, back to this. So then we see that he was kidnapped by these people, dragged back to Weapon X. Then how they knew about him or his healing factor.
I broke into the Weapon X lab.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. This is where I used.
This is where they experimented on me.
broken test tubes, broken. That's good. That's really good.
We'll have to write that whole song.
Yeah, man, you could literally write that whole song. That'd be a good parody video. We should talk about that.
We'll do it. We'll do it for the Patreons.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should get working on that. So
I have an idea for that.
Rico's been recruited to Weapon X. So he was he'd been recruited to Weapon X. Given the adamantium skeleton, eventually he broke out. We see kind of an extension of that bit from earlier. The scientist guy runs away. Wolverine blows up the place and escapes. Yes, and then we cut back. Then he goes back to look for Yuriko, but she's not there. And apparently he just gave up. I don't know why, but he goes back.
He broke out of the Weapon X lab.
But like he goes back to the place. He goes back to their place in Japan, and she's not there. And he's just like, Yuriko, and like that's the extent. Is that the extent of his search? Like if I go back to my girlfriend's house and she's not there, I'd probably do a little more research and try to ask friends, family, someone else who may have some indicator where she may be. Because
I mean, when you have as many people that seem to be hunting you all the time as Wolverine, you just assume the worst.
Yeah, that's fair. But no closure whatsoever. He just gives up and goes back to I guess Alpha Flight, because if you look at his timeline, it would be somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
So so we go back to the present where Wolverine meets up with the Reavers and begins to get in a big fight with them, slashing off various limbs that they can reattach because they're cybernetic in origin. But then we see Deathstrike, who appears, and Wolverine recognizes her immediately as Yuriko, his lost love from Japan.
Looks a little different than
she's got these extended arms with the big claws and all the cybernetic hickeys all over.
I always anyway, I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, her design is interesting. Is it like Asian-y? Is that like the point of it, or is it just something unique? Like, is this an Asian garb that I'm unfamiliar with?
It seems to have
it seems kind of like an Asian bend to it, yeah. So anyway, I actually really like the Kelly Hugh version from X2, although she didn't really speak very much. It was cool to see her in it. So
the hands weren't quite so pronounced.
No, but that
just sort of popped out claws like Wolverine.
That would look pretty goofy in a live action movie, I think. Not quite. It looked like Slender Man, but like goofier in like a small Asian woman. So at first, Wolverine's alarmed at Deathstrike that she has claws and she's all like extended and messed up because of her cybernetic implants. She explains herself that she went through a procedure similar to his adamantium process.
I decided to change my outer form to match the darkness inside me.
Good enough reason as any.
Yeah, I know it's very thin. It's paper thin. This reasoning. It's like if you ever had a grudge against anybody, you just go through some kind of a procedure to turn yourself into a fucking monster. Just so that
like I had a bad day, so I physically altered myself to match.
Yeah, I think if you talk to any psychiatrist or psychologist in the world and ask them if this seems to be a standard trend with people that want to make themselves physically ugly to match their inner ugliness, there'd be very few, if any, answers that anybody actually wanted this.
And a lot of ugly people running around.
Well, there'd just be people carving out their own faces or something, right? Like when like it's just such a strange. Yeah, I suppose, but like only certain versions of him have the cut smile, and that's not even necessarily by his own hand, depending on the continuity you're following. So,
well,
anyway.
Wolverine has something to say about that as well.
I had no choice over what I became, over what was done to me.
Like he's so disgusted by it because he's felt so horrible about what was done to him this whole time. He's just like, you went and did that? Like what? Like what? That's like the last thing I ever would have wanted for you.
Although
when you did it to yourself.
I think we can all agree Wolverine is better because of what they did to him. Like he may not like it, but he is a better
job.
Well, no, but he's stronger. Like he's more adaptable. You know, he can't be ripped in half. He can't, you know, like he has bones that are
he's better at his job, but he's more tortured.
And I don't think he had the claws before
Because
either
of
in
it.
this continuity. So there's that too. But
Yeah, who knows how that continuity
I don't
works in
think
the
so because
cartoon.
he was
I don't
like
think they get
in the
into it.
segment where it shows.
Oh yeah,
him
he's like,
next.
what?
Yeah, like when the claws came
Yeah.
out, he's surprised. So I don't think he had them.
No, but
before.
he was even in the comics. He was surprised. He didn't know they were bone because he didn't remember that.
Right.
Like he loses the medal and he has that scene
But he
with
had
the
lost
bone
his
and they
memory
pop out
long-
and he's like, "What? They're still here?" Like,
But he remembered being in the Weapon X program. He just didn't remember. It depends on the
Having-
continuities you
he doesn't
follow.
remember. He doesn't remember before that until
He doesn't remember all the way
to
back to like at the end of Origin 2, basically, is when he loses memory.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's when he was like a teenager, like in a young man, like in his 20s, is when he kind of lost his memory of what happened before. So, yeah. So anyway, So then we find out that in a very strange and hopefully it gets explained in the next episode. That's very possible. Is this in the continuity of this show or in the continuity of Dave just said I don't think Wolverine had Berserker Rages before the Weapon X thing. I don't know if it's in the continuity of the show or you just mean in general. Yeah, I could see that. In the origin story, he like runs off with wolves at the end of the first one.
I don't
so
know
it's
if I
just-
buy that it made him more of an animal. I don't know.
It depends on
And I
what
don't know
storyline
that I buy that it makes him stronger because it actually takes up a pretty significant amount of his healing factor to fight the adamantium poison constantly, and that's why X-23's healing factor is much better than his.
So her claws not adamantium?
Her claws are, but that's it.
Oh, so just the claws.
So I don't know how she can slash things and it doesn't shatter her wrist every time. I'll have to research that better. But yeah,
It does seem as though Dave may be onto something. He said speaking.
Dave was speaking of the comic. So.
Yeah, that makes some sense because he was kind of a milk toast.
I mean, it made him more angry, so I guess I
Yeah.
buy it in that sense.
Well, it seems like when he opened up and became like when he hit puberty and became a mutant, he got more animalistic because before that he was sort of this sickly sort of milk toast, kind of oh no,
white
father,
milky toast,
kind of kind of character. So it seemed like it also was very well implied in the origin miniseries that his father was the groundskeeper Logan. So there's that too, who also resembled him and seemed more animalistic as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
and as did Logan's son.
Here's a question,
Dog.
and just a side note. We do go off on these sometimes. Is Dog still in the regular continuity?
I haven't seen Dog, and he did come back.
Jason
Actually,
Aaron brought him into the regular continuity. I remember that in that storyline with Spider-Man.
I think that's the only time.
No, I think he stuck around. He was kind of like a Kraven the Hunter, but for Wolverine. I don't know if he's still out there. Dave would probably know. He is next.
Dave says before that he's like a noble animal and a normal soldier.
Oh, that could make some sense. Half brother, yeah.
He would be his half brother. Yeah, Dog would be Wolverine's half brother. I mean, they never clarify that. I don't think.
But it seems
they're
it's quite obvious that Logan is that the groundskeeper Logan is his father.
Yeah,
because they do acknowledge or they do reference that him and his mother, because that's why the whole thing starts where he kills Logan and pops the claws because they go looking for his mother who's crazy and locked up in the house.
Yeah, and that's why Logan hates him because he gets to be the rich kid. Well, Logan doesn't, and Dog doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, they did a real swerve. They really wanted you to think throughout the series that Dog was Wolverine, and then when you see that James is, it's this big surprise.
Dave says, yeah, he's still around. He attacks Wolverine in the Savage Land like 8 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, ever since Jason Aaron did that time travel storyline with Spider-Man, it ended with Dog following them into the modern continuity. And
they sort of wanted you to think Dog was Sabretooth. So, like,
I would have, you know what? I would have been okay with that. I would have bought it and it would have made a lot of sense. But anyway.
I'm kind of glad it wasn't. I think there's too many familial connections, at least in Marvel movies.
Well, there's certainly
probably in the comics too.
Because I'm really hoping they explain it in the next episode because Yuriko says that her father was Kenji Oyama, who was the one that put the adamantium on Wolverine, and she wants revenge for I guess Wolverine killing him, but Wolverine doesn't really kill him. He just runs into another room and the Wolverine blows up the lab. So whether Oyama died in the lab or not is what I'm guessing happens.
It's the same in the comics too, and I think I'm sort of going to get into this in Max points, but a lot of people blame Wolverine for stuff that he's kind of not really responsible for. He's sort of just like a peripheral actor in. but like people go hard on Wolverine for these things.
Okay, but I have like a lot of questions relating to this relationship. So is it just a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that he's with Yuriko and that he gets kidnapped by a group that's led by, or that is also employing her father to put adamantium on him? Did Yuriko tell her father about Wolverine's abilities, and her father decided to use him for the program already? Was he targeted all from the beginning by Yuriko so that they could lure him into this trap? Like
I would assume proximity. So he's there with proximity to Oyama because of the oncoming experiments, and because he's just there, she's around. They meet each other.
But he didn't know Oyama,
like a medallion
before, right? He didn't know Oyama before.
But at some point, he comes in contact with him, and
only when he wakes up in the tube, and then Oyama's experimenting on him.
No, that's Cornelius.
No, in this episode, he falls in the trap. He wakes up in the tube, and Oyama's standing in front of him, and he doesn't. I don't think he recognized him. He would have said something if he had. So either
that's a good question. That's a good question.
I'm hoping episode 2 deals with it because it's really vague on it. But obviously, there's such a heavy connection to Wolverine's origin and this woman. And also, Wolverine's origin was supposed to be back in like the 40s. Oh no, I guess he was in World War II before this.
Oh, before then, he was born in the 1800s. And all that stuff we see in Origin is in like the late 1800s.
Yeah. So, anyway, obviously, it seems like if Yuriko was dating him to lure him into a trap for her father, then I don't know why she's so. Maybe that would make a lot more sense, and maybe as to why this is going the way it is. If it's just all coincidence, then it just seems real bad. Yeah, I thought that too, Dave. Dave said, "What is it? Hell, is this some kind of tube?"
Some kind of tube.
Yeah, basically. And it's also funny. They're like, because when he's in the Weapon X program, they bond the adamantium to him, which doesn't seem that bad. It just melds through his skin, and then he has adamantium on him. And then all of a sudden, they're like,
goes through his pores. That would be horrible.
And then he pops his claws, and then he's like, yes, it worked exactly according to plan. And then he used the claws to bust through the tube. Did you not see that coming? Yes, everything we wanted to do. We gave him indestructible claws he could use to shatter any material whatsoever. Oh no, he used them to get out of the material we trapped him in. Perhaps.
Damn it.
Yeah, damn it. Why didn't we think of that?
Why didn't we use the adamantium proof glass?
Damn it, Kenji Oyama. You fucked it up.
Cheap Weapon X tubes.
So they get in a fight with Wolverine. I actually forgot a little moment earlier, which I thought was kind of sinister, in which Leech, after he calls Wolverine, he goes to Lady Deathstrike, look, I did what you told me to. Can I go now? And Deathstrike's like, you're no longer useful. And then all the Reavers close in on him. It really looks like they're going to kill him. You think they kill him because they all shoot in his direction. And then they pan away.
He was dead.
And walk away.
Did they just do that in the show?
And then it just cuts to him, in the same net that sort of knocks you out as everybody else. But it did seem like a really sinister moment when they might actually kill a character just to show how ruthless somebody was. However,
now I will destroy you.
Yeah, which she doesn't. She doesn't destroy anybody. Doesn't kill anybody. Nobody gets destroyed or killed in this episode. So then the Reavers take Wolverine to the spaceship, tie him.
Maybe some Reavers.
During the fight with the Reavers, sorry, I should get here. So they get in a big fight. Wolverine ends up getting hit with that net that zaps you of your energy. Jubilee and Gambit watch from distance. Jubilee wants to go help, but Gambit stops her, saying they're outnumbered. They'll wait for the right moment. It's even funny because when they're coming in following Wolverine, they see all of the Morlocks all netted up against the wall. And then they're like, we'll come back and save them if there's time. It's like, we're just gonna leave them there forever? No time. I can't. I got no time. I got to get to the Tide.
Gambit's the best.
Sois patient. They are many. We are two.
He's like, I admire your passion, but she's like, we gotta go. Like, no.
Yeah, Jubilee it's hot to trot here. She's ready to cause some action, but old Gambit's being a little pragmatic and probably by good use. So the Reavers take
Gambit, on the other hand, doesn't mind taking the kid to the fight. We mentioned the last episode. I was like,
that's true.
They finally left the kid out of the fight, but
they just hop in the car and drive there, no problem. And it's funny because when they're following Wolverine in his Jeep, they get there in Wolverine's car, which is like a Lamborghini, like a super red sports car with also no top on it, which is funny. It's funny the two various cars. One's like the rugged all-terrain thing you drive in the woods for Wolverine. The other one's like the flashy sports car.
We start fighting for the Tide when we're 6 years old, Shao.
So during the battle, so they read how Wolverine, during the battle, Deathstroke becomes enraged, ensnared in the ship's force field. So Wolverine breaks out again.
It's funny. It's so dumb. So they capture Wolverine. They take him out of the net. They throw him in front of the alien spaceship and go use your claws to bust us open. Wolverine, of course, immediately attacks them because they just untied him. They get another bit like and instead of like restraining him somehow or telling him what they wanted to do beforehand, they just throw him out and then he, it's like, here, let's fight again. So Wolverine fights him again. During this battle, Deathstrike gets ensnared against the ship again, which causes the force field to activate.
Cool music too.
Yeah. Yeah, this is cool fight music.
Boom, 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 boom. That's pretty cool. I might have to use that for a segment sometime.
That is good. I like that one. So she gets ensnared in the ship, force field once more, shocks both Professor X and Deathstrike. So X is still connected to the Cerebro. He's getting extra energy because it's now radiating again because she's touching the ship. And then he gets Professor X realizes now that he is Cerebron, kind of the message that was coming, because there's all these alien language.
A force field. It's a warning. Don't open the ship.
It's in fact not a ship; it's a prison, which has been it is a ship, but also a prison. So there's alien writing on the ship, which is showing up on screens when it radiates. And when Professor X gets his final wave, he's able to oh my god, man! Do you ever just lose words? I feel like I'm losing a lot of words lately.
I feel like it happens to me.
Translate.
Episode.
It happens to me or it happens to you?
Me.
No, at least not the only one. So he's able to translate the message and find out that it is a warning that they shouldn't open it. Wolverine is forced to tail a horror on the ship when Deathstrike's unable to free herself. And in doing so, a monster is seen emerging from the hole in the ship, and they bathed in a green light. That is the end of the episode.
This green light.
This green light. I know the name of this character, and I will.
What's happening?
I don't think I want to know.
I like the line. I like the line. I don't think I want to know. You're going to have to. Obviously, something
you do
big
know
and
who
scary.
This character is, eh?
Yeah, just because
I have my guesses, but I can't remember. I didn't look ahead.
Oh, do you want me to tell you?
Well, we'll save it for your X points.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move on. That was the end of the episode.
Yeah, I'm going to turn on my lights. It got significantly darker in my room. My office here.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Look into your own heart, Andre.
6.
I as well give it a 6. It was my least favorite episode of the series so far.
Agreed. There's a lot of just because, and I understand it's a kid show. I understand that they have a time constraint, but I also, and I'm hoping that perhaps some of my issues with it are filled in with the next episode. And if that's the case, then great. It would probably elevate this one a little bit, but I don't know, man. I just there's too many questions that I have to try to figure out what the hell these connections are and what all this means.
Yeah, I don't think we need the caveat of it's a kid show. We're measuring it against other episodes of this show.
No, that's fair.
So
that is fair.
Yeah, it didn't have a lot. It didn't have a lot of the zingers. These episodes usually have Beast or Gambit or Rogue or somebody.
We had a few Gambit zingers in here.
Did we?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, this family.
This family stinks.
Yeah. Okay,
this stinks like a trap, and this family ain't no good.
Yeah, okay, that wasn't the worst.
A few of those.
This whole thing stank.
Well, this whole thing stank. No, not the whole thing. It was a pretty good episode, but definitely my least favorite so far. Wasn't what I was expecting to kick the third season off. But
yes,
I've never been a big Lady Deathstrike fan. And I might get into that in my X points too.
Yeah.
And
okay.
The Wolverine past episodes aren't always the best ones.
No, and I feel as though it's kind of like, so I'm going to attribute Wolverine's journey on this show to how I feel about the Amazing Spider-Man films.
Mm-hmm.
I like Andrew Garfield. I do feel as though No Way Home redeemed his Spider-Man significantly, which I really enjoyed. However, Spider-Man has some tragic stuff in his past. However, he's been around since the 60s. So if you spread out tragic losses in comics over many, many decades, it doesn't quite seem so bad.
But when you watch 2 movies in a row where they put every tragic thing that's ever happened to them, they cram into 2 movies, it just seems like one cavalcade of sadness that never ends. Like in The Amazing Spider-Man, it's like, okay, well, they kill Uncle Ben, sad. He befriends the police captain and his girlfriend's dad. He gets killed.
His teacher betrays him.
Yeah, his teacher betrays him. His girlfriend's dad gets killed indirectly because of him.
Then his girlfriend gets killed.
The girlfriend's dad says, please don't
let Gwen die.
She'll get killed. And then he decides to date her anyway. Then the next episode, his best friend betrays him, becomes an enemy and a monster, and then kills his girlfriend.
My whole point about all the Spider-Man movies before Tom Holland is none of the people who made those movies knew that Spider-Man's actually funny. And generally, you read a Spider-Man movie or comic and you feel good while reading it and after. It's not this depression factory that they make these movies. And
tragedy and sadness is fine, but when it's spaced out,
and that's part of Spider-Man for sure.
Yeah, when it's spaced out, it's easier to take.
And it's more poignant.
I'd like to see an episode where one of his old buddies comes to town and they just hang out, and then something happens.
He just hangs out with Human Torch.
Yeah, or Maverick. Maverick popped up a couple times. Maybe they still.
Oh, you mean Wolverine?
Yeah, Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine.
Just have him show up.
Yeah, Wolverine. Yeah,
just have somebody cool from his past show up that he's still buddies with. And it doesn't
have one of his poker games with Captain America and
the Thing. That'd be awesome.
Thing plays in those poker games. Nick
Fury.
That
would be awesome. That would be fantastic. Yeah,
those are his poker buddies.
Let us see that.
Well, that's what I like. Well, I'll get into that anyway. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to the X points, and we can talk about these things in a little more detail. Uncanny X points. Suppose I can go first. So the basketball scenes. That's a classic X-Men thing, and it was a big thing at the time. They had a basketball scene in the Jim Lee comics of the very same time. And it's one thing I always liked about the X-Men. Like, you rarely got to see the Avengers doing those types of things. Or even really the Fantastic Four. Sometimes you do. You get a family dynamic there. That's probably a bad example. But I like these things about the X-Men because they're not just this team that comes together to fight villains. They live together all the time, and they have to work on that dynamic too at the same time. They have to work on their superhero dynamics. And that was the strongest part of the episode for me, was just the basketball game. I actually would have opened the episode with that probably. I mean, it was fine where it was, but opening season 3 with the basketball game, that would have made me smile.
Yeah, I mean, also to maybe start things on a less sinister note, like no pun intended, but every episode seems to start with something sinister happening. So,
and I don't think this one has anything to do with Mr. Sinister. So.
No, it doesn't. But still, that's what I meant by no pun intended.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. Well, one of my points, and this is just before I get into some of the more ones related to production itself.
Mm-hmm.
The animation in this one seems to have. It seems as though the action has gotten less detailed, but the character designs have gotten more detailed. A lot of the characters have a lot more shadowing on them, and like it's almost like a darker tone. I don't mean.
Well, they started to use 2 different studios, I believe, around this time.
Yeah, you could see it like in the basketball scene. There's like a lot of shadowing under all the muscles, which wasn't there before. Like a lot more darker, kind of working its way into the animation, which is kind of cool. It definitely gives it a more 90s look as far as the way things were animated then. I'm looking at like the HBO Spawn cartoon and those sort of things that were coming out around the same time, but the Savage Dragon cartoon, but the Max. The Max. It did like Cyber 6 or some of those shows that were kind of all coming out around that time period. Actually, those ones came a little later, but it did remind me of some of that sort of Aeon Flux, like that sort of anime. It almost seems anime inspired a little bit more in some of the design in this. Which is interesting.
I mean, they were drawn in Asia.
That is true, but it seems as though there's more of that filter. Maybe the studio that they went with for this other version is more, into that side of things.
Be interesting if it was that second studio, and that is what kind of David mentioned during the Mojo episode, was that like they sent the long shot episode off to that one studio, and it came back horrible. So then they had to like redo it and send it off to the other studio. They're like, all right, you guys take a crack at it.
There is a very 90s, more 90s bend to this animation. I feel like, or in a darker tone as far as the animation itself goes. So
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go back to the basketball game for a minute. From
You love this basketball game.
I do. So Jubilee seems to be a New York Nets fan.
Oh, right.
She's wearing the number 7, and it has Nets colors. And number 7 during the 92 season, 91-92 season, and 92-93 season. Number 7 was Kenny Anderson, their point guard, and she would be a point guard. She's a smaller individual. Yeah, I think Jubilee's probably a big Kenny Anderson fan. Unless you think she's a hometown person because she's actually from California, and if she's a Clippers fan, then number 7 at that time was oh geez, what was Lester the Molester Collins, I believe his name was.
Was that actually his tagline?
Yeah, the Molester. So I hope it's not that, and she's not a Clipper fan. I'd like to think she's a Kenny Anderson fan and not the Molester fan.
Was this something that was said during games? Like the announce team would be like Lester.
It was on his basketball cards and stuff.
Oh my god!
Because he would molest you to steal the ball.
Oh well, I don't know if that's something we need to jokerize here. Like that's perhaps it's a phrase or a term that's best left to court cases instead of being used as a fun little colloquial nickname for an athlete. It's ridiculous.
I agree. So I think she's a Kenny Anderson fan.
Sure, I'll go with that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the other note I had was, let's see here. We got a bunch of them.
Hopefully you have 4 more.
I do. The scene of Logan getting his adamantium skeleton and claws is the only time in the series we see this scene in its entirety. Previously used, somewhat trimmed down in the Repo Man episode from the past where he meets Alpha Flight. And it was also used again later in Weapon X Lies and Videotape in season 4, but that one's a bit sped up and it's missing some of the dialogue that we get in this one. It doesn't show, and that one doesn't show.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, and that one doesn't show the part where Oyama seems to lock himself in a closet and die in the building as it explodes. So, and
that
also,
was his bad idea. You can't blame Wolverine for that.
And also, he's got claws. He just busted in the door if he wanted to. And Oyama seems to have a different voice actor later as well. But so this is the most complete version of his origin, the adamantium origin in the Weapon X program that we get.
All right, back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Deathstrike design was never my favorite.
I don't really
growing up, so I never really could relate or gravitate to the character. The hands never really worked for me. I don't mind the rest of her look actually. The headpiece is pretty cool, and the samurai sort of looking garb.
Was she a 90s creation or an 80s creation? When did she join the comics?
We'll save that for a little later.
Okay,
but yes is the answer.
Okay,
but a little bit of both. That design is the 90s design. I'll put it that way. But yeah, that's my thing. Never my favorite character. Maybe that's why this episode wasn't my favorite as well. Sorry, Yuriko, you're not my favorite.
Oh, poor Yuriko.
I know. Back to you.
All right. Okay, yeah, this is fun. This is a product of its time. So the episode first aired in primetime on Fox stations across the globe. It was part of a special team-up night with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It aired immediately. Wow. It aired immediately following the Power Rangers episode, The Mutiny Part 2.
That's a prime slot.
That's a prime 90s cheese for you. You got Power Rangers and this episode. And as an extra bit of this episode also aired a couple months ahead of when the season started. So you never would have, as part of this promotional thing, so you never would have gotten the closure on Part 2 for like 2 months after you saw this one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there was a space between Part 1 and Part 2, eh?
Yeah, like 2 months.
Well, that's interesting because we may be doing that same thing to our listeners.
We will be.
We'll talk about that here in a minute as well. Ready for a cliffhanger, dear listener, but you'll be glad. All right, back to me. Well, is this my 4th one or 5th one?
3rd one, isn't it?
No,
that was my third one.
Yeah, so it was my.
Oh, you went first, so it's your fourth.
Yeah. All right. So the music in this episode, I thought, was the highlight. Actually, it was very cinematic. There was that clip that I played earlier, which was quite nice, but that wasn't the only good music in this episode. It was. But through the whole thing, the music was on point. David Cutler on the design of Lady Deathstrike. It's brown for me. Yeah, too much brown and white, really drab.
It is kind of drab. Yeah, the red on the head. They need more of the red from the head. The helmet part kind of push through. All right, my next point.
And that's from an artist's perspective, a Marvel artist. So take it to heart, people.
Mavericks.
More red on Lady Deathstrike.
The helicopter the Maverick flies with Wolverine is marked with Canadian insignia.
Is it?
Yeah,
I did not
so we get
catch that.
Some Canadiana in there for our Canadian friends out there, us being Canadians as well. But and Wolverine is in a secret agent uniform, which sometimes pops up in the comics. Is all black sort of uniform he wears when he has to do Black Ops related stuff, which is kind of fun. And it also shows us how he got to the Weapon X program. Hopefully, like I said, episode 2 fills in what led him from Eureka to that, and hopefully there's a connection. Because this is just one big coincidence. It is totally royally stupid.
Yeah.
It's royally stupid. It's your girlfriend from Japan coincidentally happens to have a father living in Canada that works for the Canadian government.
Plotting your doom.
It just happens to want to put adamantium on your skeleton. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
All right. Well, my last one. I'm going to skip this one because you know who that entity is. Is that going to be your last point?
Well, you know what? I have
what the alien is.
I have 2 things I can say for the next one, so I'll put this one onto yours. You go ahead.
No, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to leave that for you. My last one's going to be Wolverine is very quick to forgive, is what you'll notice in this series and in the comics. Of all these people that have wronged him in the past and that he has wronged, they're always trying to revenge on him, and he's never trying to do that to them. Wolverine's like, I don't know if that's the samurai mentality that he's kind of adopted at certain points.
He doesn't go hunt them down. You're right.
He doesn't go on revenge missions. If anything, he helps other people on their revenge missions while convincing them it's a bad idea or trying to. He's just like, all right, look, I'll help you so you don't die. But like,
that is true.
Maybe
he
don't
go
do
out of his way to hunt Sabretooth or anything.
No,
he just,
or go after Silver Samurai or like.
Yeah. Does he show up in the series?
Oh, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, that would be cool. I like that character. So I had 2 things to say. You can say your green big. One's kind of interesting, and one.
I just didn't know who it was because I can't remember. All I was going to say is that I was leaning Shi'ar, just because they communicate. This Xavier a lot, and the ship had like a gladiator mohawk.
The ship is a Shi'ar ship.
Oh, it is a Shi'ar.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. That'll be brought. The whole beginning of the season kind of teases where they're headed because we get the Shi'ar ship, we get the Shi'ar technology. We get this thing, which is from Shi'ar, and then some other stuff that's related to what's coming with Dark Phoenix later. But
it's not the Phoenix in there.
No. It's something called the Spirit Drinker.
It's the Spirit Drinker, part of the Emkron crystal.
Yeah, it's a big green monster called the Spirit Drinker, and the design for it in this episode is heavily influenced. You don't really see it too well in this episode. You'll see it better in the next one, but. It's heavily influenced by the id monster from the 1956 Roger Corman classic Forbidden Planet. So if you like,
I remember Forbidden Planet. Wasn't Leslie Nielsen in that?
No, you're right. I'm getting it wrong. That is not. It's Forgotten Planet, I think. Wait, Forbidden. Yeah, Forbidden Planet is the Leslie Nielsen one. That's the one with the robot holding the woman. Cool very classic. Yeah. So it is very. Sorry, I got that confused with.
I've seen movies.
You have. No, Forbidden Planet is the Leslie Nielsen one. Yes, you're right. So I got that confused with a different movie called Roger Corman put out a couple movies. Galaxy Terror was one. I think they're both in the 70s. That's forgotten. Anyway, different one.
Roger Corman, Fantastic Four.
But this was not. Yeah, he did do that. But this was not directed by Corman. Directed by Fred Wilcox. But yeah, no, the Leslie Nielsen, the old MGM, the classic robot holding the woman image with the Robbie the robot kind of look. That's the original one that it came from. So yep. So yeah, it is loosely based on the design of the id monster from that film. So that's
Canadian legend Leslie Nielsen did drama before he did comedy.
Actually, he only the first movie he did that was comedy was Airplane.
Yeah,
and that wasn't until the 80s. So he had a
Airplanes.
Airplane is probably one of the funniest movies of all time. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Airplane. It's up there. But yeah, so that's what started his career in comedy, basically. Well, then he did the Police Squad TV show, which led to the Naked Gun movies, which you should totally watch if you ever had a chance. You can buy all 6 episodes are on a Blu-ray and a DVD, whatever, or you get on Amazon for pretty cheap. But check out the show. It's actually funnier than the movies. If you like the Naked Gun movies, the show is amazing. One of my favorite bits they do at the end of every episode is they always do the freeze when they're all laughing at a joke and then they freeze. But when they freeze, something is happening around them. So all the characters are standing still. But there's something there's one where he's pouring a cup of coffee and then they start laughing and it freezes. And then you see the coffee is still pouring and they're frozen. And then the guy holding the cup, you can see his eyes looking at the cup, but he's not moving, right? And then it's overflowing and it's burning his hand and he drops the cup and it's still spilling on him. Just stuff like that. There's one where there's a monkey that gets loose and they're all frozen, but then the monkey is not, and it comes in the room and starts fucking everything up and knocking everything down and ripping things off the wall. And there's one where the set falls down around them while they're frozen. It's all really, really funny. It's genius. But anyway, yeah. So that was the other note I had, and this is just like a production note, which if I ran out of things to say, I was going to say, but I'll say it anyway. So they put out, remember back in the day when they used to put out the old VHS cassettes that would be compilations of maybe a couple episodes of the cartoons you knew and loved?
Oh, yeah.
I had some of the Spider-Man ones. I think the Venom part of Spider-Man I had. I
had Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends ones.
Yes, and I had a bunch of Power Rangers ones. Although you think about what a ripoff they were. I probably spent $17, $18 on one VHS tape that had one episode of Power Rangers on it.
Oh, God, the money we used to spend on entertainment before it was all free.
Yeah, it's all, well, I mean, free, but yes. You just get
comparatively free.
I mean, it's so great now that if you have a kid, all you need is $10 a month to watch everything Disney did, basically. It's crazy. So,
oh my God, you know what we haven't done this season?
What?
This one's for you, Morph.
This season is also for Morph.
That's not that astonishing as this season just started. But anyway, and also no sign of Morph. I have a feeling. I'm wondering if we're going to see him again. I'm sure we must. Anyway, so at one point,
unresolved.
So along with this episode, along with X-Men Out of the Past Part 2, X-Men the Animated Series Nightcrawler episode, and Lotus and Steel, they're all collected in a home video release that they used to put out called X-Men: The Legend of Wolverine. And all the episodes deal with Wolverine's history and difficulty controlling his rage. Also included was the season 1 finale of The Final Decision. And it included an interview with Chris Claremont, interviewing commentary for those episodes with Chris Claremont, which would have been cool, and a Stan Lee soapbox commentary with Stan Lee.
Oh, yes. Got to have the Stan Lee soapbox.
So, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't include episodes with, Sabretooth in those ones, because those seem, relevant to his past as well.
Interesting.
Because the Nightcrawler episode's in 95.
Yeah.
Which would be, that's this season, isn't it? Or is it next season? Anyway.
It's this season, it's near the end. I think it's next season. Well, Nightcrawler has 2 episodes, so it's probably one this season and then one in season.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's just a fun little note for the nostalgia dive of those old VHS collections. There's one of them out there with Chris Claremont and Stan Lee commentaries on them.
All right, well, let's move on to...
Hey, check this out.
Hey, check this out. This is our comic Reminiscences and Recommendations segment. Reggae style.
I love it.
Check this out.
All right.
What are we checking out on, Ray?
I'm going first.
Yeah, why not?
So in my newfound adaptation of grabbing things that aren't necessarily X-Men related, because Davin's got that covered, we're doing something else. Because a bunch of stuff has been releasing lately, character images, there's a teaser trailer, and a bunch of stuff relating to who's playing who and all that stuff in the upcoming Netflix adaptation of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman. If you've not read The Sandman by Neil Gaiman, you should.
I've only read that one, Preludes and Nocturne.
Wow, you have a lot of really good reading in your future, my friend.
Didn't grab me. I probably won't continue with it.
What?
Yeah.
You have no magic in your blood, Davin. It's all science. Star Trek has ruined you.
It's all science and humor.
There's no magic in
so, like,
you.
the darker, more mystical stuff generally doesn't really...
Well, for those of you who are looking for deep, in-depth character
But
studies...
it was well written.
In-depth character studies about love, about life, about dream, about existence, about everything.
And I don't dream. So, like, dream things generally don't jive with me either.
Amazing comic. If you need me to explain it to you, I'll briefly explain it. There is a crazy person that is trying to trap death so he will never die. He makes a mistake and he instead traps Dream. And Dream remains trapped for several decades while his dream kingdom falls apart because he's not there to maintain it. Eventually, he gets loose and goes back to try to rebuild his kingdom, and then the whole series picks up from that. There's some amazing ideas in this. I think it's in the next volume about a serial killer convention. There's some amazing things in this one, particularly dealing with death. I mean, Neil Gaiman's work on death as well in the miniseries is Death, the High Cost of Living, and Death. What's the other one called? That Dave will remember because I read them from him first. Death, the High Cost of Living, and the other miniseries featuring death as well that he did. Amazing comics. I just was reminded of it today when I was seeing some of the new releases for the upcoming Netflix series, which I hope is good. Please be good.
Hopefully.
But it's one of my all-time favorites.
Don't they already have a Lucifer series, which is just based on
unconnected?
Really?
Yeah, they have the girl that played Brianna Tarth on Game of Thrones is playing Lucifer. She was Captain Phasma in the Star Trek movies. She is playing Lucifer in this.
There you go.
Time of Your Life. Yes, it is. Thank you, Dave. It's called Death, Time of Your Life. And it had something to do with life or death in it. So yeah, those two. I have the fancy big edition of those in the leather bound case or whatever, but or the omnibus editions or whatever they call those ones. But yeah, fantastic. Check it out. Go real Neil Gaiman's Death. Just grab the first volume. You'll be hooked.
Yeah, listen to Andre. I didn't mean to shit on his pick here.
No. That's all you do is shit on my picks. You don't like the Orville. You don't like Death.
Hey, you asked me about the Orville, and I warned you about an oncoming tangent. So
it's all right.
But there was a good episode. The one where they were like, they didn't have any like females, and they gave birth to a female. That was a great episode, actually. It didn't have a lot of Seth MacFarlane in it.
Yeah, well, there's an even better episode, I think. And I don't know if it's the same season or maybe it's the next one, where they go to a planet that's sort of stuck in nice. They said Death, Time of Your Life, Neil Gaiman. So yeah, they do a great
Gaiman book with angels and some ghosts.
That's pretty accurate. They go to a planet where everyone votes. Every crime is put on TV, and everyone votes on social media to decide if people are guilty or not.
See, that was already done on Black Mirror. That's been done on like 5 shows in the last like 3 years.
No, that's not about if you're guilty of a crime. That's just people struggling to be popular. I mean, come on. Stories surrounding social media are also going to be filtering through. But the idea that the public is the judge, jury, and executioner is kind of something that happens in modern society anyway. Like, there's a great book by John Ronson called "So You've Been Publicly Shamed," which is about people that have been publicly shamed through Twitter or what else because of something stupid they said. But the crime is far removed from what the punishment is usually, based on how the world judges these people and how their lives get ruined because of this sort of stuff. So it's a very good episode, very eye-opening one as well. But it's one that I tell when I talk about the good ones. And also the villains in the series, they're like religious zealots, and they have some interesting stuff with religion in it as well, which is cool.
I like the Church of Universal Truth in the Abnett and Lanning Guardians of the Galaxy comics.
Oh yes, yeah, kind of similar. But the initial villains on the Orville are like these, kind of like the Jem'Hadar, but like obsessed with religion. And they believe that they have manifest destiny over the universe kind of thing, and everything they do is right, which is very interesting. And they have an episode where they look like they take their form to infiltrate their society and get a copy of their Bible to learn more about them, which is very interesting. So lots of commentaries on war.
Alpha Flight. And why are we talking about Alpha Flight, you may ask? 1, There's the X-Men. They're in this.
Oh, there's Wolverine. There's Magneto in that sweet outfit. I love that outfit.
That is a sweet outfit. And yeah, there's like the 80s team there. You got your Rogue, your Rachel Summers, your Colossus and Storm and Nightcrawler. It's very nice. Anyway, this is Alpha Flight number 33. And it's actually a really good issue. I just read it again the other day to just kind of talk about it here. Nice opening shot of Vindicator. It's like starting off with her struggling to take over the mantle from her now dead, spoiler alert, husband. And
comic came out 40 years ago. You can spoil it.
Also in this issue, which is quite interesting, I think, is say it here. Hold on 1 second. There it is. I don't know if you can see the text there, probably not, but it says Vindicator is flying over Nova Scotia.
Oh, there you go.
Our home, the home of this podcast.
Where's she going? To the ocean or to England? Because if you're flying over Nova Scotia, you're next up to the Atlantic Ocean.
She's trying to find Wolverine, so she's like started out like in Ontario or out west.
So she's flying all across the country.
She's flying to Nova Scotia and then down, I believe.
Okay,
just to tour the country.
All
but
right.
Marina, who has since left the team, is hanging out off the coast of Nova Scotia. So watch your fishing lines there, people.
I believe she's supposed to be from Newfoundland. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, but she's hanging out off of Nova Scotia here.
Yeah, we're pretty close.
She's reminiscing about her times with Namor, and Atuma is after her. So there's lots going on in this issue. Like Snowbird struggling with a whole like psychological thing.
Oh, okay.
There's lots going on.
Usually the issue you bring up is one related directly to this episode. Do you not have any Lady Deathstrike issues?
I'm not done.
Oh.
So she's going to see Wolverine because she wants none of the. This is just a really good issue. None of the Alpha Flight team members will teach her how to fight because they don't want her in the fights. So they're just like, no, we're just not going to teach you how to fight. But she's like, I'm leading the team. I'm there in the suit. I'm there anyway. Isn't it better if I can defend myself? So it's like, well, we're not going to teach you. So she's like, Wolverine will teach me how to fight. So there's Wolverine in his old cowboy hat.
He looks like a Texas senator.
Sometimes he does. It's never been my favorite Wolverine look, but he's from Alberta. So anyway, they give her like scrap with her for a second, like every incoming person to go see the X-Men. But then Wolverine's like, touch her and I'll kill you. So Wolverine's just like, you're right. That's like, she's mine. Any arguments? They're all like, nope, all good. We're all good here. But anyway, so now we just end up meanwhile, and there's this boat happening. And who do we have here?
Right here.
That's the first appearance of.
See, that outfit does look quite samurai-like.
Yeah, see, this is her original outfit, and she didn't have the crazy hands or anything. Yeah. So this is the first appearance of Yuriko as Lady Deathstrike. She was in a comic previously as Yuriko, actually a Daredevil comic. But yeah, so this is the first Lady Deathstrike, Alpha Flight 33. A lot of this Alpha Flight stayed good after John Byrne left. He started doing the art and writing for the first 25 issues, and then he left. But this issue here is written by Bill Mantlo and drawn by Sal Buscema, I believe. Yeah, so
I love Sal Buscema. He's awesome.
Oh, this is top-notch stuff here. Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema. So Alpha Flight people, go read it.
Go read it.
Yeah, so that was our recommendations for today, and eventually we'll get a list of all our recommendations done up as we've had a request for such things. Now, I'm going to play this again. This is going to be the exclusives theme. Exclusives! So, why are we taking an episode off, Andre? Why are we leaving this two-parter on such a cliffhanger?
Because we have a special guest joining us next week. Very special guest. Yes. Devin has probably annoyed her so much, she's finally relented and agreed to be in the show. Lenore
I'm going to apologize as soon as she's here.
Former MLA of my area and also voice actress and regular actress. She played Marilyn Monroe on Broadway. She was in the L Word
as a very young lady. That was quite the thing.
She was on the L Word. She was in Happy Birthday to Me, which is kind of a seminal old school fun horror movie.
And an upcoming movie directed by Barry Dunn of Trailer Park Boys fame.
Oh, excellent.
Called The Mahones.
Yeah, very cool. So a great
Starring
actress.
Lucy Decatur from that show.
She's done theater here in Truro. I put it on in the park, Shakespeare in the Park kind of stuff. So she's been an active member of the arts throughout her entire political career here in Truro as well. Never connected with her too much over the years, but I've come into her circles. I've overlapped a few times. I've met her. Very lovely lady. She was a great politician. I was sad to see her not be the MLA for Truro, but unfortunately, I live in the surrounding area, so my vote didn't count for her riding. But she was nice. I've
tried to vote for her, but she's never been in my riding.
Yeah,
but every election I start the hashtag going rogue.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've met her before too, but I'm going to save that for the interview.
Wait, maybe she was. I can't remember what her role was. Whatever. Well, anyway, if I was voting for her, I did. I voted for her party. I'm not sure if it was her specifically or somebody else. So
you probably did in the last one where she lost to the conservative guy who is not cool and voted against the environmental racism bill recently.
Yeah, that guy's a tool. But he's good.
I don't like you, Truro MLA guy. You're not cool. You're no rogue. Oh, wow, nice. David's impressed with our interview. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Dave.
We get celebrities like yourself on here. We're pretty big time.
That's right. And by we, I mean Davin is really good at getting people to do that because I'm just a pretty face.
Davin's really good at hassling people with a smile.
Davin has a little more time than I do to follow people to their cars and demand that they come on his podcast.
Oh boy. I'm gonna get in trouble one of these. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Want to do a new segment?
Killed by Larry Houston.
Oh, Larry Houston would never kill me. He seems like
he broke into my house and demanded I go on his podcast.
I wouldn't want to wake up on the wrong side of Cal Dodd.
I clubbed him to death with my Emmy.
Yeah. If he doesn't have an Emmy, he should. All right, new segment time.
The VCR.
My VCR with Andre.
What the fuck was that?
You didn't like your theme? Do you need to hear it again?
Did you just combine two quotes really badly into one thing?
I may have.
Oh my god, that's atrocious.
Hey, you dweebs, watch
The VCR.
Watch the VCR.
Okay, I get it. It's terrible, but I still kind of love it. It's charmingly terrible.
Okay, good. That's what I was going for.
So this is where you're going to tell me. I have to
no, this is Andre's movie recommendations. We get enough movie tangents from Andre. We're going to make them official here.
So do I need to provide something? Do I need to provide like a Blu-ray?
A physical copy? I don't think so. Just talk about a movie everyone should go watch.
All right. The newest one that I just saw not too long ago that I thought was really fun and sticks out in my mind as being a good one was it's called Housebound, and it was on Joe Bob Briggs' show on Shudder, in which is kind of like Dinner to Movie, where he shows a movie, like he introduces a movie, shows it, they take breaks throughout the movie, and then they talk to sometimes industry experts, sometimes they just give you facts about the filming. And he does two of them in a night. It takes place in the States. He's in Texas. I don't know if he films there, but so I watched it. They show them on Shudder. You can watch them live when they're on, or you can watch them later when they just become active to stream. So I watched one of them. Dave's laughing. I watched one of them a little while ago, and it was a New Zealand movie from 2014 called Housebound, which I never heard about before. But he was doing. He has a theme generally for both movies, and isolation was the theme of this one. So it's about people that are forced to be stuck in like a house or somewhere like that. So the first one was a Jodie Foster's one of her first movies called The Little Girl Lives in the End of the Lane, which is a very interesting movie. Although what I call a horror movie, probably not. The other thing was this one, Housebound. So it's about a woman who tries to steal an ATM with her dumb boyfriend or some other guy.
They try to rip it out of the wall with a truck or something?
Yeah, and it goes badly. She gets caught, and she ends up getting sentenced to house arrest with her mother. Now, her mother lives in a house that they all are kind of convinced that may be haunted because it was strange things have happened there ever since she was a kid. But now she's kind of forced, while living, not being able to leave there, to do a little more investigating and try to come to terms with why it is the way it is, and comes to some surprising, funny, and horrifying realizations throughout the run of the movie. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. It's very interesting. It's got a very interesting twist, which I kind of saw coming, but only because I saw a horror movie similar to it not too long ago that was even newer, that definitely was inspired by this, I would say. But it was like Australians and New Zealanders do horror movies very well. I haven't seen one horror movie from there that I haven't enjoyed thoroughly yet. I know there's some other I haven't seen. Was that Australian? Oh, I love that movie. I think the Black Coat's Daughter's from there too, which is also supposed to be really good. But like even the old ones like Wake and Fright, Next of Kin, which is insanely good. Razorback, some of those ones are all fun. I never saw Wolf Creek or any of those. They're newer, but I'm sure they're good.
Oh, I saw Wolf Creek.
Yeah, so all that stuff is great. So they can do horror really, really well. And Housebound was fantastic. I would highly suggest it. If you
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, well, that's New Zealand, but yes, yeah, that's a great movie. But it's if you like your horror a little funny, but also you get some jump scares or some good frights in there, you'll like this one. It's very good. It's very well.
I'll check it out. Housebound.
And the New Zealand accent is fun to listen. I'm not even doing it. New Zealand accent.
Zealand accent.
The accent, yeah, it's like that. It's fun to listen to.
Right.
They all sound like Korg from Thor.
Made of rocks. Intimidate you.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. I get my root down. I put my root down.
How are we going to kick it? We're going to kick it root down.
Why do I get the terrible mix thing and you get the cool funky beat?
Because I put the work in.
That's a good point. I can dub my own. I can dub my own intro. I can dub my own intro if you want.
I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it.
All right.
It's hard to get VCR into a friggin' clip.
Well, I can record myself saying it.
Anyway, no one's going to enjoy that. Well,
everybody would.
You have a smooth, sultry voice. All right. Root down, Krakoan gardening with Davin. I could talk about this for hours, but I'll just drop a few hints. 1. Research the native plants of your area. Find some. Plant them amongst your other plants. They'll naturalize the look. They're what the pollinators are expecting. Good things will happen. Native plants. 2. Tomatoes. Let's talk about tomatoes, shall we? Grow tomatoes, not leaves. I leave my tomatoes. I never really have more than 4 to 6 leaves on my tomato plants at a time. And you really only want the single stem. Take off all those little shoots that grow off between the leaves and the stem. Pluck all those off. All those runners. They're not going to bear fruit as much as that main stem. Put all the energy into that main stem. That's your third tip of the day. Oh, no, it was the second tip of the day. I'll go one more, though. Peppers. Are you trying to grow peppers? Having trouble growing peppers? Because it takes a long time, and you may not have a long growing season like we don't here in Nova Scotia. Peppers are perennial. Take them inside in winter. Put them out next year already that big. Cut them down to a couple leaves, of course, and then just keep them in a sunny window all winter. Put them back out. You have an already fully mature pepper plant, and it'll just start pumping out peppers. Mine are doing that right now. Perennial peppers. Awesome. That's root down Krakoan gardening with Davin. Those are your tips. Good people. Grow better fruit. Grow better vegetables.
I like this
Krakoan style.
I like this gardening subject.
Well, I figure it's something I can talk at length about, so we'll make a segment out of it, just like you in movies.
That's right.
All right. So we got, you get everything here at X-Rated, not just X.
Everything.
Yeah.
You get 40 minutes to talk about X-Men and an hour of diatribes about unrelated things.
Exactly what the people want.
Exactly. We give the people what they want.
And we have our
third entertained?
Our silent yet third host, David Cutler, in his zingers as well.
Yes, he does bring some.
You want to just be like the full-time silent co-host?
No. I want Dave to come back on the show.
I do too.
We gotta have him at least once a season if the schedule allows.
Exactly. What's Dave, your favorite episode this season,
Tell
Dave?
us what episode this season you went in on, and we'll get you. We'll get you. Like Joe Tex. I got you.
What? You know what? We can drop in here. I got something we can drop.
All right.
Let's
rock and roll, ex-fools.
Glad y'all decided to join the party.
Let's party like it's apostrophe 97.
Right.
This is basically for the listeners, if we have any, from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Y'all should head down to the Grand Rapids Comic Con. They're having like the biggest X-Men animated series panel ever. It sounds like they're going to have writers and artists and actors, everything. It sounds like it's going to be awesome. Our podcast should be there, but we're nowhere near Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm also afraid. I'm kind of afraid of guns. I'd have to think about that.
Oh, come on.
Well,
they'll just wing you. You'll be fine.
You'll protect me.
Yeah, but when they're riddling my body,
you're my burly protector, are you not? Dave just wants to prove to us that he actually listens to the show.
We know you listen, buddy. We know you do. But we do want you on the show. Let us know. He said, "I'll always be with you, Elliot."
Elliot.
Do you think the ET race and the Sierra are hanging out?
No, they're a Star Wars property.
The
ET people.
Yeah, but so is X-Men.
No,
they're owned by Disney.
No, that's fine.
They're all owned by Disney, motherfucker.
But ET's legit in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were. There was his race were in the Senate.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, the X-Men could be too. There are X-Men meet X-Men meet Star Wars comic books out there, Star Trek comic books out there. So Star Wars can't be too far behind.
Okay, all right.
Could happen. We got parallel universes now, thanks to Loki.
Yeah, thanks, Loki and Sylvie.
Thanks, Loki.
Homework from Professor Andre.
Well, I guess you should probably watch the next episode, which is Out of Time or Out of the Past, Part 2.
And you've got 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah, 2 weeks to do it. But if you want to have a little fun before we talk to Lenore Zan, feel free to watch Happy Birthday to Me, one of her old seminal 70s horror movies, Canadian horror movie, which is a ton of fun. I might try to watch that before next week, just so I think I've seen parts of it back in the past. It's a fun one. I'm pretty sure I have it on Blu-ray.
Where would we find it? Oh, you have it there.
I have it on Blu-ray, but I believe it is on Shudder, I think.
Oh, sweet.
As well. So you can find it on there. And which is my Shudder's through Amazon Prime, so it might be on Prime Video as well. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But check it out. Fun horror movie. Probably not very expensive to ranks. It's very old.
Fair enough. Okay, well, you can contact us at X-Men Review Show. Oh, you know what? I always jump into that way too fast. What's going on at the Graphic Histories podcast, Andre?
Well, I might have to cancel this week's episode as well because I had a guest lined up. Well, I had a guest lined up and then they couldn't. So unless Jameel wants to finally be a guest on my show, if you're still listening, Jameel, and you're available tomorrow night to record, then I will have an episode Saturday. If not, I might have to postpone another 2 weeks. But I have a bunch of other people lined up for the coming week, so this shouldn't happen again for a while. It's just tough in the summer to navigate. I was hoping I had a guy lined up, and then it was supposed to be Thursday to record, but then I have some friends visiting Thursday night, and I can't really do that at the same time because they just be sitting in the other room while I'm on here for an hour and a half. So I figure I would, let myself enjoy my life a little bit. But yes, unfortunately, I do this other podcast, which takes up some of my time from that one. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Is it any good?
It's very good, actually. I really enjoy it. So and it's also easier because the other person does a lot of the groundwork. So anyway, but yes,
podcast. Check that out. I can't believe you haven't interviewed Cal yet.
Oh, I tried. He's just too busy.
I
tried several times. You mean Cal Johnson, right? Yeah, I tried. But I had Dave Howlett, and some other folks that are some great older episodes. So go listen to old one if you want. But if I do end up wrangling a guest for the next episode, I will let you know on social media. Jameel, there's an opening. I'm ready for you, buddy.
The demand for Jameel is high in Nova
Jameel
Scotia.
Robinson demand is high. Podcast extraordinaire.
Jameel, we'll get you on New Cuters of Trek 2, which is my other podcast. Geez, we haven't put something up for a while, but we'll get back into it. We'll get regular again with that podcast.
Yes, we're getting there
on some level, but yeah, hard times over at Locutors of Trek, but we'll get in there. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. Go back and listen to the back catalog. But we have an episode on comedy coming up eventually. Probably a couple weeks, to be honest.
Oh, the Orville should be front and center.
We're talking about Star Trek here. And listen to my if you want to catch Jameel, you can catch Jameel over at Live Long Podcast. He's on there oftentimes. And if you want to see me and Jameel battle to the death. Perhaps not the death, but we did compete against each other in trivial debates just this past weekend. Myself, Jameel, and Adam Woodward were the contestants. My buddy Chris Murphy was the host. He did a very fine job. Good questions. We think it may have been the best one yet. It was a great episode. Everyone go check that out.
Oh, awesome.
And also check out Super Mater Brothers. They do stuff over there too. They talk about the survivors and the reality shows and the stuff like that. Marvel shows as well. So you can contact us, in fact, like I was saying earlier, at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com, which I will check occasionally. Actually, I think it goes right to my phone. Never mind. Yeah, you can follow us on Facebook at /X-Men Review Show or Twitch. Someone tell me if we're on there, because I still don't know. And you can donate on patreon.com/X-Men Review Show. We're also on YouTube. Oh, so my idea for the Patreon. So what I'm gonna do, I feel like I have to email Patreon to see if this is actually gonna work. But what I'd like to do is set up different tiers. So again, laden with merchandise. So say, don't quote these numbers yet, but say you do like a $15 or a $20 a month thing for 3 months. That'll get you 3 pieces of merch, though, like a sticker and then like a mug and then like a T-shirt. So most of that money's going to merch with like probably a little chunk left over for us. And then, because I don't know what happens after that, they always talk about these 3-month increment thing on Patreon that I haven't quite figured out yet. So what I thought I would do is set up different tiers that are the same price. So then you just cancel that one. And if you want more merch, I'll have a different tier set up with like different merch, because I don't think I can put this different merch in the same tier. I don't think.
Yeah, we can. We can also come up with some method of our own stuff. We can come up with something.
Yeah.
Just
but I thought I'd have like the "This One's for You" morph tier, so you can get your "This One's for You" morph sticker and shirt, and then cancel that once you've got those items, and go into the other tier, because Andre's got more designs coming up for us. So if you want merch, we want something about the tide. So if you want your the tide is high shirt or whatever we're gonna be doing, or
nobody wants
it's high tide. We presented the tide, but not on the day of the tide.
All right. That sounds good. We'll get working.
Yeah, we'll get us working. But anyway, so
every once in a while, when Davin will message me out of the blue, and usually at the worst possible time of the day, to remind me to do one of these things. So hopefully that'll happen.
Yeah, like an hour before the show, I'm like, "Hey, do us up an image for the interview next week."
It wasn't an hour; it was like 2 or 3.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good.
But I was in the middle of a lot of work stuff, so it took me a while to get to it. But we got it.
We got it. You can also find the audio version, only version, wherever you get your podcast, thanks to Buzzsprout. And if you want to start your own podcast, do it through Buzzsprout. I'll put the link. I forgot to put it in the link. Link in the bottom of the last episode, but I can go back and do that. So it will be there. It will be there. And the link will be at the bottom of this one too. It's worth it. Look, try it for a couple months. You get an Amazon gift card basically worth as much as what you're paying anyway. Try a podcast out. Just don't compete with us directly.
If you do, oh no, we've created what we've
what have we done?
No.
Orchestrated our own demise?
Yeah, exactly.
God. Anyway, if you enjoyed this show, any of these seasons, any of these episodes, like, review, subscribe. If you like David Cutler's witty comments, check out his art. Buy his comic books. Spread the love and the money. Because money equals love. I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's true, actually. But I said it, so I'll stand by it.
All right.
Anything else to say, Andre? I'm just driving this into the ground at this point.
I'll just give you one last X-Men quote. To quote Wolverine from the film X-Men First Class. Go fuck yourself.
Did he say that?
He sure did.
Oh, well. I guess
remember they're going around trying to recruit X-Men, and then he's sitting at a bar and they walk up to him before they even say anything. He just says, "Go fuck yourself," and they stop and turn and walk away.
Oh yeah. I don't share Wolverine's sentiments, listener. I love you. Catch you later.
Hey.
Catch you X time, in fact.
X time.
1, 2, 3.